last night when I got to the hotel, I was attacked. And Bill, here we're going to talk about where we're going today in light of this. So Colonel, go ahead.
So in addition to the red team, we started receiving credible threat warnings about 2 weeks ago. So we've had a close team. Close team is what we call somebody's working in the crowd and detecting threats.
Yeah, this clip here is Mike Lindell learning that he's going to be sued for $1 billion by Dominion Voting Systems, and Mike is down here in this corner, and somebody is off stage saying, "You're getting sued. You better come."
Republican counties are being won by Trump, but by a much smaller number than
There's Mike.
projected. And then you have Philadelphia much closer and able to do its thing, because Rudy Giuliani will tell you Philadelphia is the kingpin of election fraud. But it wasn't possible without stuff like this.
Go. Oh boy. Should we do that again? Let's do this. This is what happens when you get sued.
Republican counties are being won by Trump, but by a much smaller number than
what are you telling
projected.
Me? He's looking at a
and
lawyer.
then you have Philadelphia much closer and able to do its thing, because Rudy Giuliani will tell you Philadelphia is the kingpin of election fraud. But it wasn't possible without stuff like this.
Dude. Whoops. Come on.
A third-party auditor, and the voting does it, but every other government agency has to have a third-party audit.
Okay, I want to repeat that. You said in the state of Utah, which is where you're from, I was just there, a great state.
Yes, you were.
Is that all of the government agencies are required to have outside auditors except two. One of them is our election.
Indoctrination education system.
The indoctrination education system and
our voting.
And our election.
Our elections
so in other words,
do not
all
have
government
third-party
agencies are required except, oh, here we got, I had to take this call.
Important call.
What's up, bud?
Bye. See you later.
Yeah. I'm live right now.
Continue.
Hold on.
Okay, I just want, well are you going to
who am I going to ask the question to? I don't know.
Okay, I was just going to make the point that we're looking at all of this technical data. Part of the problem is that
return them without authorization. The actual hard drives from the Mesa. We have a problem. My lawyer just called me Mr. Ty Clevenger, and he said that I should put out this statement. And I just learned that Conan James Hayes may have taken, without authorization, the actual hard drives from the Mesa County, or the Mesa, Colorado County Clerk. And he needs to produce those hard drives immediately and return them to the clerk. And we should stop this data review until he produces the hard drives.
Oops.
They attacked me. They buried it. You think about that.
They got something they want to show you off stage here.
Okay, I guess we have something off stage, so we're live streaming now. So you want to talk?
Well, I think we're set up for a break, and then maybe we're going to talk a little bit right when we get back there. We're going to go into...
No, we're not going on a break. Put up that movie again. Run the movie. There's no breaks. We're streaming 72 hours, live streaming. So around the world, this never stops. You guys can go eat, that's fine, but I ain't eating. I'm staying up here for 72 hours before they ruin our signal. Go with the movie.
Ladies and gentlemen, lunch is now available in the back hallway. Thank you.
Yeah. We're going to put the movie up again. If everybody missed it, I want to get the
lunch
movie up.
Available.
Tabulation system.
And then when we come back from the movie, we're going to have Dr. Frank he's going to get on there and do his presentation. So is the movie going?
Came together because they
you guys, this is the movie I heard about this morning. With this movie,
Correct. If you have that evidence.
No, Why, just forget about the evidence. If I'm right that China took our country right now, do you care? Would that bother you? Would that bother you?
But you have to show the proof for it.
No,
right?
would that bother you?
Of course it would.
Okay, then why do you think I keep going? Do you think I like getting attacked?
Lindell invited the media and cyber experts to the symposium to vet his claims. We went along and brought Harry Hursty, a world-renowned cyber and voting machines expert.
If you see something in there, if you see some data that does seem legit, that does show that there was some sort of fraud, you're ready to investigate it, right?
Absolutely. I will follow the evidence wherever the evidence will go.
This was attacked. The whole technology was attacked.
So the conference was supposed to begin about an hour ago, but Lindell is having some problems with streaming live the event on his website. He's claiming, without any evidence, that it's because of an attack, that his systems have been attacked.
There's hacks and cyber attacks every day, as you can see.
And it went downhill from there. Lindell ultimately didn't produce the data to prove his claim the election was stolen by China.
I think the guy makes a wonderful pillow, but I wish some of this information would have been organized a little better.
Were you given any data at all from the 2020 election? Anything useful, anything that would show any sort of fraud?
We were not given any kind of raw data which we would even be able to start to look at that.
But if your stuff is legit, if the data is legit, wouldn't it be better for you to hand it over to as many cyber experts as possible?
You know what? I'll give you the answer. Because I've been told that they can go out there and corrupt it and make fake stuff and put fake news out. So I don't need your people to go out and doctor the evidence and put out on Mike Lindell's a conspiracy.
But you have been saying for months, media, experts, everybody come, see the data.
We're showing it right on screen right now. So you can't sit here and do a hit piece when it's on screen right now.
To your knowledge, was anything on those screens proof of Lindell's claims that the election had been stolen?
Based on everything we found, that is meaningless. There was nothing there you can compare to draw any conclusions.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not a computer guy. I don't know what most of this stuff means, but I've been researching this election since November 3rd. But the CNNs of the world, you guys need to start reporting this and stop fact-checking it.
And in case you needed more proof this is a sham, Ron Watkins spoke remotely at the conference for hours.
So what I said was...
He was allegedly behind the QAnon movement, according to a HBO documentary, an allegation he denies.
Do you understand? All I need is for all those experts to say, yep.
Since Election Day, various guests, attorneys, and elected officials have appeared on Newsmax and offered opinions and claims about Smartmatic and Dominion Systems, both companies that offer voting software in the U.S., and Newsmax would like to clarify its news coverage and note that it has not reported as true certain claims made about these companies. There are several facts our viewers and readers should be aware of. Newsmax has found no evidence that either Dominion or Smartmatic owns the other or has any business association with each other. We have no evidence that Dominion uses Smartmatic software or vice versa. No evidence has been offered that Dominion or Smartmatic use software or reprogrammed software that manipulated votes in the 2020 election. Smartmatic has stated that its software was only used in the 2020 election in Los Angeles, was not used in any battleground state contested by the Trump campaign. Newsmax has no evidence to the contrary. Dominion has stated the company has no ownership relationship with the Pelosi family, the Feinstein family, the Clinton family, Hugo Chavez, or the government of Venezuela. Neither Dominion nor Smartmatic has any relationship with George Soros. Smartmatic is a U.S. company and not owned by the Venezuelan government, Hugo Chavez, or any foreign official or entity. Smartmatic states that it has no operations in Venezuela. While the company did election projects in Venezuela from 2004 to 2017, it states it was never founded by Hugo Chavez, nor did it have a corrupt relationship with him or the Venezuelan government. For more on this, please go to our website at newsmax.com. Read facts about Dominion Smartmatic that you should know.
Irregularities of mail-in opinions about the integrity of the election, the irregularities of mail-in voting, of election voting machines, and voting software. One of the companies, we reached out to one of the leading authorities on open source software for elections, Eddie Perez, for his insight and views. Eddie is the Global Director of Tech Development at the Open Source Election Technology Institute. We asked him for his assessment of Smartmatic and recent claims about the company.
Have you seen any evidence that Smartmatic software was used to flip votes anywhere in the U.S. in this election?
I have not seen any evidence that Smartmatic software was used to delete, change, alter anything related to vote tabulation.
Smartmatic says its software was never used outside of LA County in 2020. Do you know whether or not that's true?
That is my understanding. Smartmatic functioned as the contract manufacturer for the Los Angeles County voting system, and that was a customized system that was effectively built to the county's order. I am not aware of them having any other direct customers, relationships with election officials in the United States.
What about Smartmatic and Dominion? Do you know if they're related, whether one owns the other, whether Dominion uses Smartmatic software?
Both Dominion and Smartmatic have individually and respectively put out very clear statements from their corporate headquarters, each of them indicating they are independent companies, they are not related to each other. It is my understanding that neither one of them has an ownership stake in the other or anything like that. They are, again, for all intents and purposes, two completely separate companies.
Have you seen any evidence of a connection between George Soros and Smartmatic?
I'm not aware of any direct connection between George Soros and Smartmatic. It is my understanding that an executive at Smartmatic has some sort of relationship with one of Soros's foundations. That's the extent of my knowledge.
Have you seen any evidence of Smartmatic sending U.S. votes to be tabulated in foreign countries?
No, I'm not aware of any evidence that Smartmatic is sending U.S. votes to be tabulated in foreign countries. Again, I'm not aware outside of Los Angeles County of Smartmatic tabulating any votes in the United States because I'm not aware of them having any customer relationships in the U.S. And secondly, as others have pointed out, irrespective of which voting technology vendor we're talking about, in the United States, the ballots that are cast in the United States are tabulated in the United States.
Are you aware of any instances in which Smartmatic's technology was banned in the U.S. in 2020 due to security weaknesses or wrongdoing?
I am not. I'm not aware of any instances where Smartmatic's technology was banned in the U.S. Again, it is my understanding that outside of one customer in Los Angeles County, Smartmatic has no presence in the voting technology marketplace in the United States.
but what happened with your Twitter account and the company page?
Well, first mine was taken down because we have all the election fraud with these vending machines. We have 100% proof. And then when they took it down about 3 weeks ago, and then when I put it back up, my personal, it was a...
Mike, thank you very much. Mike, you're talking about machines that we at Newsmax have not been able to verify any of those kinds of allegations. We just want to let people know that there's nothing substantive that we've seen. And let me read you something there. While there were some clear evidence of some cases of vote fraud and election irregularities, the election results in every state were certified, and Newsmax accepts the results as legal and final. The courts have also supported that view. So we wanted to talk to you about canceling culture, if you will. We don't want to relitigate the allegations that you're making, Mike, because we understand where you are. So let me ask you this. Do you think that this should be temporary because it appears to be permanent? Could you make an argument that it is temporary?
What?
Could you make an argument that this would be a temporary banning rather than permanent?
No, I want it to be a permanent because you know what? They did this because I'm revealing all the evidence on Friday of all the election fraud with these machines.
No election fraud.
Okay, Mike, can I ask our producers, can we get out of here, please? I don't want to have to keep going over this.
Actually,
we Newsmax have not been able to verify any of those allegations.
Mike, hold on a second. Everybody hold on a second. Mike, hold on 1 second. Let's talk a little bit about just what is happening overall in terms of censorship.
Cancel out my company and myself. In this country is cancel culture.
Thank you, Mike.
Is there any commissioner who would like to have any one of those items considered separately?
I just want to ask a point of clarification. So we are not doing the public comments now. We're going to wait until we're in the Public Health Board for the comments to be made. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what I said. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Is there any item the commissioner would like to have considered separately? Is there anyone present who would like one of those items to be considered separately? If not, it's back before the commission. A motion is in order. Ms. Hanslick.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to accept and approve the consent agenda as presented.
Allenbrand, second.
Motion is made by Hanslick, seconded by Allenbrand to approve the consent agenda as presented. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Fast. Aye. Commissioner Myers.
Myers, aye.
Commissioner O'Hara.
Yes.
Commissioner Hanslick. Hanslick, aye. Commissioner Ashcraft.
Yes.
Commissioner Allenbrand.
Allenbrand, aye.
And Chairman Eilert.
Eilert, aye. I have 7 votes in favor. Motion carried. Moving to the action agenda. Before we read that item, again, I will restate that when we come to the comment portion on this item, if there are individuals who have a general comment, you can do so at that time. And we will take both those general comments and specific comments on the public health order during that period of time. Staff will give us an overview of what the public health order contains. If there are questions by the commissioners, they can ask at that time. Following that, we will open to receive comments. For those who have signed up virtually, they will come first. And then following the public comment period, the board will have discussion and make a decision. So, Mr. Connor?
Excuse me, can I read the item into the record, please?
I'm sorry, what?
May I please read the item into the record?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Item number 4, proposed health order number 001-21, elementary schools. Note, final proposed health order posted in place of an earlier version posted in air.
Okay, Mr. Connor.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. Joe Connor, Assistant County Manager. The item before you today is a health order that will require all Johnson County students up to and including 6th graders to wear a mask while in the school building. Our local health officer, Dr. Joe LeMaster, along with Dr. Ayola, our Director of Health and Environment, is recommending this action. Dr. Lemaster will present his rationale on why this measure is necessary shortly. Dr. Ariola will also be on the line to answer any questions. And so the order itself is a targeted public health intervention focused on students who currently do not have access to the vaccine.
Joe, can I ask you? I can't. Can you please move the mess?
Okay.
Thank you.
So what is in this health order? It requires masks or other face coverings for any students through and including 6th grade while inside a school building. The requirement includes school buildings for all students in higher grades where 6th grade or younger students attend class unless a plan for physical separation is put in place. Masks or other face coverings are required for all staff, faculty, and visitors in these buildings. Persons with a medical condition, mental health condition, or disability are exempt from this order if documentation is provided to school officials. All students, while riding the bus, will be required to wear a mask unless a medical exemption has been submitted to the school. This order would begin, effective date, if passed, would begin on Monday, August 9th, and remain in effect until May 31st, 2022, unless amended, revoked, or replaced. This is not a community-wide measure. This is targeted toward the school setting. And again, limited to those students who do not have access to the vaccines. Students participating in school activities or athletics should follow guidelines established by the schools and the State High School Association to guide their participation in those. Under this order, the outdoor activities by students do not require a mask or face covering. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Lemaster for his presentation.
Dr. Lemaster.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, commissioners. We've got some slides up, and I'll ask for some help with advancing the slides as we move through. Can you all hear me fine?
Can you speak up a little louder, please?
All right. Can you hear me fine now?
That's better, yes.
Very good. Okay. Good morning, commissioners. This morning I'm addressing you regarding the proposed order mandating the use of face coverings in K to 6 Johnson County schools. We're proposing this, as Mr. Connor said, as a targeted intervention to protect from COVID-19 our most vulnerable population currently, children under 12 who are not yet eligible for vaccination. Next slide, please. 2 weeks ago when I talked with you, I reviewed risk for children across the U.S., and today I'll focus on our local area. As you're aware, with the arrival of the Delta variant in our area, COVID rates have recently increased dramatically. Our current incidence rate is 229 per 100,000 population. Next slide. Our overall percent positivity in the last 14 days has returned to 8.4%. Next slide, please. Based on our previous school reopening criteria, this incident rate suggests that we're close to what we previously used to mandate remote learning at the elementary level, 250 per 100,000. Though the percent positivity is still in the yellow zone. What we're proposing is a conservative approach to keep schools open and kids in schools. Next slide. Recently, pediatric hospitalizations in our area have returned to the level that they were during the winter months, as you can see on the left side, although now, as a percent of total hospitalizations, children represent about twice the proportion as then. Next slide, please. This slide showing the overall regional picture makes it clear that even while we're not running out of ventilators, as shown in the lower left, the hospitals are very full and the ICUs even more so. Pediatric COVID patients represent a growing proportion of those in our ICUs. In the region, there's still some ICU capacity. Slide 7. In the JOCO hospitals, that ICU capacity is getting dangerously low. This is due to a combination of factors, including availability of staff to care for ICU patients. But overall, this just tells us that the hospitals are very busy, and for that reason, a number have started to refuse transfers in from other areas. Next slide. In summary, we're seeing a brisk rise in hospitalizations, including among children. And we also have in the county experienced outbreaks in camps where children were there, childcare establishments, especially where people were unmasked, all in the face of an inability yet to vaccinate children under the age of 12. Next slide, please. 3 facts to remember about COVID transmission among kids. We see higher numbers of cases among children when community rates are higher, as they are here now. Data from the UK suggested that for every additional 5 per 100,000 cases in communities, the risk of nearby school outbreaks increased by 72%. Children less than 12 can acquire COVID in in-person school settings and transmit it to others outside schools. We believe this to be more likely to happen during the period now that we're seeing Delta because of the higher transmission that Delta represents. At least through March 2021, when prevention strategies have been in place, transmission in schools has been uncommon. Next slide. Last time I talked to you, we talked about layered prevention. This is what CDC refers to as multiple components that have been shown to be effective in reducing transmission in schools. Consistent and correct use of face masks is a very crucial and critical element of that layered prevention strategy. Next slide. Data supporting this approach has been confirmed by studies across many states and jurisdictions and represents the minimally restrictive action you can and should take as a board given the high level of community transmission we are experiencing and given the fact that 100% of children under 12 are still unvaccinated. Next slide. To sum up overall, the risk of transmission in schools is high, as is the number of hospitalizations in our area, and ICU capacity, while not exhausted, is reduced. We continue to strongly recommend COVID vaccination for those who are eligible, but school children under 12 are not eligible. The proposed order provides us with a previously proven approach to minimize transmission in school so we can keep kids in school, and we consider this to be the minimally restrictive approach to doing so. Again, as we've said before, this is a targeted intervention to avoid having to return to hybrid or remote learning. Schools and early care and education programs are an important part of the infrastructure of our community. They provide safe, supportive learning environments for children and adolescents and employ teachers and other staff. Reports suggest that the limited in-person instruction during the pandemic may have had a negative effect on learning for children and on the mental and emotional well-being of both parents and children. Our goal in proposing this order aims to keep schools open and kids in school for in-person learning. Thank you very much for your patience and consideration.
Okay. Dr. Ariola.
Good morning, Chairman. In addition to what Dr. Lumasta just said, I should first of all identify myself. I'm the director for the Johnson County Department of Health and Environment. I do want to say that we have schools in Mississippi, in Arizona, Atlanta, that have opened without mask. And within a week or two, they have all returned to requiring masks. And it is going to be very, very difficult to keep our schools open without wearing masks. The virus, the Delta variant, is the infection numbers are pretty high. Actually, the number that Dr. Lumasta provided today in terms of the incidence rate was the number that I used with you last week. This week, the incidence rate is at 331 per 100,000. That's already in red. And we are seeing a lot of cases. We are seeing lines in testing locations. We are seeing cases in younger children, and we speak to our health systems in terms of hospitalizations and capacities, and there's no question that they are very concerned about where we're heading, and we do need to take steps to ensure that we do what we all want to do, which is to keep our children in school. Thank you.
All right, are there any questions by commissioners? Ms. O'Hara.
Thank you, Chairman. Dr. Ariola, Are these statistics, are these Johnson County statistics or are these regional statistics?
The numbers that Dr. Lumasta provided to you are Johnson County numbers.
They are Johnson County numbers. I'm confused because from the dashboard, since July 1 to current, there has been one hospitalization of children under 9. And of 10 to 19, it shows that there were 2 hospitalizations, and this is a 5-week span. Is this correct? Is this information that I have from the Johnson County website, is this correct? And this was given to me by staff.
So I thought your question was referring to Dr. Lumasta.
May I, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to intervene. For those who are in the atrium, I don't want to have the security officers clear the atrium. There are facilities in the lower level of the building which you can watch the proceedings and have the conversation you would like. But to interfere with the conversation and the activities in this chamber, please keep the volume and conversation to a minimal. Thank you.
Okay, so Dr. Areola, I'm just very.
I'm happy to answer your question,
yes.
Dr. Areola, Director for the Department of Health and Environment. The incidence rate, as well as the positivity rate that Dr. Lumasta presented for Johnson County. So if you talk about hospitalizations, I'm happy to give you the numbers for Johnson County. We have had 15 hospitalizations in children aged 12 to 17. We have had 8 hospitalizations in children aged 5 to 11. And we have had 3 hospitalizations in the last 2 months. Those are Johnson County numbers.
Okay, so that is from June 1st to current?
The last 2 months, we have 3 hospitalizations. I don't know whether that's June 1st, but the last 2 months, yes.
June 1st. Well, on my statistics that I have, there has been 1 hospitalization in the last 5 weeks for the 9 and under. Is this correct or not?
There are 3 hospitalizations the last 2 months. I can't see what you have.
So, well, this is from the dashboard, and this was presented to me by Joe Connors.
Yeah, Dr. Areola, I pulled information from the cumulative summary tab on the dashboard and just did a daily, starting July 1st as a benchmark, and then looked at the numbers for the last 2 days. Or 3.
Actually 3.
And so she's taking the difference between what it said July 1st and what it says today.
And that
in those age categories.
Right. And from in the last 5 weeks, I showed
again,
you,
I do want to go through the numbers so it's clear. We have had 15 hospitalizations in children aged 12 to 17. We have had 8 hospitalizations in children 5 to 11. And 3 of those have occurred in the last 2 months. Probably they're trying to pull out the number. If you are saying from June, if you give me a timeline, we're able to put that out.
So what you're saying, you're talking cumulative, and I'm talking specifics as to from the last 5 weeks, because we're taking this action on the assumption that this is getting to be a worse problem. In 1 hospitalization in 5 weeks, I cannot see that this is a public health issue. So
I would love to, again, Dr. Areola, Director of Health and Environment, the metric of hospitalization, I hope that the CMO of our health systems are going to be addressing that to the community tomorrow. I would say that when children return to school, the indoor environment is a perfect environment for the proliferation of the virus. There will be outbreaks, and those numbers from Mississippi, 2 school districts there, from Arizona, from Atlanta, those are real numbers that have happened recently. If you have kids in there, you are going to see there will be some that you will not that may not be hospitalized. You are going to see long COVID. You are going to see MIS-C, and the more people that are infected, the higher the number of persons that are likely to be hospitalized. And so, yes, the numbers are low right now. That's the way to keep it. The infections that we are seeing, the rate at which it's going is scary. If that continues and there is no measure to contain outbreaks in school, we will, to use the word of Children's Mercy Hospital doctor, it will be a recipe for disaster.
And the piece, are these test results from the PRC that's been recalled? The PRC test that's been recalled? Is this?
I think you meant the PCR test, the polymerase chain reaction.
Yes, thank you for that correction.
It's inaccurate to say that the test has been recalled. That's what we're still using. That's inaccurate.
Okay, this is what we're still using. And is it correct that, according to the CDC, that will not be used after December? Is that correct?
That is inaccurate, not to my knowledge.
All right, let's, I'm asking commissioners to remember we have 93 individuals who would like to make a public comment in regards. So let's recognize that and minimize our time. We will have opportunities following the public comment information to discuss items. Ms. Hansley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just two quick questions for Dr. Ariola. Can you update us on the current vaccination rate for children 12 to 17 in Johnson County? Last I had seen from you was less than 40%. Is that still accurate?
It is right now at about 40.2, 40.3%. It's still right around 40%, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Ashcraft.
These are questions on the health order, Mr. Chairman, so if Mr. Connor could address them. Mr. Connor, the order appears to be directed at public and private schools. Will daycare, healthcare establishments, and other congregate youth settings be included in this order? And then by extension, what is the enforcement plan if any or all of these groups, public schools, private schools, daycares, opt out or decline to adhere to these?
Okay, so to answer your first question, if it's in the school setting in pre-K through 6th grade, it would fall underneath the order. Standalone daycare centers have their own regulation requirements through the state, and they contract with us, and we enforce those, through that action.
They aren't covered.
They will be covered. They will be. Well, they'll be covered under their own regulation, not by this order. This only talks about in the school setting.
Okay.
In the school buildings.
And then enforcement?
Well, enforcement we'll be working closely with the schools if cases start to rise. If things start to happen, then we will work with the schools directly. Hopefully we can end any issues that we have there.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Let's turn to the public comment portion. The clerk will read 2 or 3 names at a time, and so those individuals need to be prepared. But first of all, we'll start with the virtual comments. Linda? And again, let me restate, for those who are on virtual or at the podium, there will be 2 minutes limit. And for those who are at the podium, there's a modem which will show the time. And so would ask that you respect that. Will the clerk please read the first individual?
The first speaker virtually is Carrie Alam. Carrie Alam.
My name is Carrie Alam. I currently have 2 kids in Blue Valley schools, Blue Valley West, Pleasant Ridge Middle. Thank you for letting me speak today. Last year was something of a unique experience in that I had 3 kids in Blue Valley at milestone year, 6th grade, freshman and senior, all looking forward to great experiences, both first and last. Of course, this is not what they got at all. My 6th grader and freshman did not have traditional first years in their new schools. They did not get their first homecoming, pep assembly, or middle school activity night. My senior didn't get her last homecoming or countless other lasts most seniors enjoy as they complete their high school years. While my freshmen did get to play basketball, it was a risky decision at the time when COVID numbers were high. I'd let her play only because the district required masks during practice, and the freshman team decided to wear them during games also. Did my daughter love this? No. Was it difficult at times with her asthma? Yes. Did she do it because it meant she got to play the entire season without incidents? Yes, and she'd absolutely do it again. That said, everything did change when Blue Valley moved to full-time in-person school for everyone in the fourth quarter. There was a prom and a senior picnic, and these kids could attend sporting events and they could see all of their friends every day. This is what we all want, right? Our kids in school every day, all the normal school activities, dances, assemblies, going to games on Friday nights. And I think we can agree we all want our kids safe. The experts are telling us masks are the only way. 200 doctors in our community have endorsed masking. The CDC says we need to do it. Our local children's hospital agrees. I'm not sure what else you need to hear. I don't think requiring masks for just K through 6 is enough, though. These schools don't operate in silos. Like myself, many families have kids across all levels of K through 12. We need universal masking, K through 12 students and staff. This is not an issue of personal choice, it's an issue of public health and safety. Can't even believe we're discussing this because I'm asking our officials, elected officials, to do what is best, do the right thing, universal masking for students K through 12. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Now we have Owen Frederick.
Hello, my name is Owen Frederick. I'm from Overland Park, Kansas. To correct Mr. Areola, on July 7th, the FDA did issue a Class 1 recall on the Lyra SARS-2 COVID PCR test. The fact that you don't know that is embarrassing. This morning, I emailed the board a CDC article on the effectiveness of cloth masks for protection against SARS-CoV-2. The article referenced study on efficacy of medical masks versus cloth masks conducted in Hanoi, Vietnam, showed penetration of cloth masks by particles was almost 97%. The article went on to discuss droplet travel distance, quote, recommendations to wear masks to protect the wearer from droplet infections are based on the assumption that droplets travel short distances only. However, the 10 studies of horizontal droplet distance, 8 showed that droplets traveled greater than 2 meters. A recent study showed that SARS-CoV-2 may be transmitted up to 4 meters. Therefore, ideally, all frontline healthcare workers should use a respirator, end quote. Not a medical mask, not a cloth mask, a respirator. To further quote the article, quote, during a pandemic, cloth masks may be the only option available. However, they should be used as a last resort when medical masks and respirators are not available. Cloth mask use should not be mandated for healthcare workers, but some may choose to use them if there are no alternatives. The general public should be educated about mask use because cloth masks may give the user a false sense of protection because of their limited protection against acquiring infection, end quote. These studies were conducted in a hospital setting in which airspace is limited to short durations in a high filtration environment. Our public schools are a low filtration environment with prolonged shared airspace. Given the high penetration rate of cloth masks, the distance to SARS-CoV-2 can be transmitted, and the low filtration environment, no credible claim of cloth mask efficacy in SARS-CoV-2 transmission prevention can be made in a public school setting. So, even if the BOCC had authority under KSA 65-119, which it doesn't,
I'll have to ask you to conclude your remarks. Your time is up.
Health justification clearly.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Now we have Melissa Jenner. Melissa Jenner.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Melissa Jenner. I'm a physician and mom of 4 children, 3 of which who attend Blue Valley schools. I'm speaking as a private citizen and I do not represent a hospital or practice setting. I'm speaking in a virtual setting because I'm concerned about the potential for unmasked participants that would put myself, my younger children, and my patients at risk. I would first like to thank you for introducing and considering the proposed elementary masking mandate. Thank you for being willing to listen to our local physician and public health experts as well as to the CDC and AAP. It is a great first step. My concern as a physician is that it does not go far enough. While our children ages 12 through 17 are eligible for vaccination, our current vaccine rate for this age group is low. Most of the children up to grade 12 are unvaccinated and therefore completely unprotected from COVID-19 if optional masking in grades 7 through 12 continues. These students deserve the same protections as their younger and unvaccinated schoolmates. I want my daughter, an incoming freshman, and her classmates to have a safe and uninterrupted in-person school year. Because of the low vaccination rates, universal masking is the only option to achieve this goal. Finally, mass quarantines due to unmasked high-risk exposures in our high school students would have a great economic impact on our local community. Many of these students have jobs in the food service industry, grocery stores, gas stations, and other service industries such as home child care. Who is going to fill these positions for 14 days if we suddenly have hundreds of our students in quarantine? Businesses will have to potentially close or reduce hours. Parents that rely on high schoolers for work-related child care in the evening and weekends may be forced to stay home with their kids. Allowing for optional masking is bad for public health, bad for business, and bad for families. I asked you to consider extending the mandate to include all grades to be in full compliance with the Johnson County Department of Health, Kansas City Department of Health, CDC, and the American Academy of Pediatrics. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Now we have Allison Hettinger. Allison Hettinger.
Hello. Thank you, Commissioners, for the opportunity to speak today. I'm Dr. Allison Hettinger. I'm a Mayo Clinic trained board-certified pediatrician and a fellow of the American Academy of Pediatrics. I practice in Olathe and I have 3 kids in the Blue Valley School District. I am speaking today as a healthcare provider for kids, a small business owner, and a mom. I am seeking your assistance in keeping our kids in school. My practice has seen a significant uptick in COVID-positive patients over the last month. While most children with COVID do not appear to have long-term complications, some most definitely do. We have a lot to learn about how this disease process affects kids over time. My practice has had a previously healthy 10-year-old develop debilitating chronic pain. We've had several high school student athletes with temporary heart inflammation and EKG changes that required cardiology evaluation and clearance to return to sports. I have pretty much daily conversations with kids about anxiety and depression, either caused by or exacerbated by this pandemic. Most of my patients cited not having regular in-person school and missing out on sports or activities as major contributing factors to their symptoms. If we are worried about the mental health of our kids, we need to keep them in school and activities. We do that by requiring masks through 12th grade. Also increasing are the numbers of viruses that we usually see midwinter. There is not a buffer of bed space or staff to absorb our typical inpatient surges of the late fall and winter. This will present yet another challenge for our healthcare system and can exceed our capacity to care for our community. As you are aware, the KDHE, the CDC, the American Academy of Pediatrics all recommend universal masking in schools K through 12 to avoid outbreaks and school closure. As districts across the South have opened up in the last weeks, we have seen several shutdowns at the middle and high school levels already. Masking is not perfect. Vaccination is not 100%. But these are the only 2 ways to keep our kids and our teachers healthy and in school. Yesterday, the KC Metro community added 1,115 new cases of COVID, largely fueled by the more transmissible Delta variant. This is the highest total since January 9th. We need universal masking in all of our schools, and we are asking for your help. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Now we have Sarah Dubin. Sarah Dubin.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Dr. Sarah Dubin, and I am a pulmonary and critical care physician here in Kansas City. I am board certified in internal medicine, pulmonary medicine, and critical care medicine. I have a master's degree in epidemiology from Yale University. I have over 20 years of medical education, training, and experience. I am also the mother of 3. I live in Johnson County, and my oldest will be in 1st grade in the Blue Valley school system. As a physician actively caring for COVID patients, I am frankly appalled that angry parents are trying to dictate the health of our children instead of those of us that are physicians and scientists. The American Academy of Pediatrics has explicitly stated that children must be masked in school, ages pre-K through 12, in order to prevent children becoming sick with COVID and schools closing. This governing body of pediatric specialists has made this recommendation to keep our children safe and in in-person learning, which is what we all know is in their absolute best interest. We must stand up for the safety of our children. The argument that kids don't get sick from COVID is not applicable. The Delta variant has shown this is not the case. Kids are becoming sick and being hospitalized due to COVID. Any death that is preventable by simply wearing a mask is an atrocity. COVID is causing disabling pulmonary, cardiovascular, and neurologic sequelae in both adults and children. I know this personally from the patients I treat in my pulmonary clinics that are now permanently disabled. I am sure those on the commission want to look back and be on the right side of history and support science and the safety of our children. We pride ourselves in Johnson County as having one of the best places to live in the country. I hope you are now willing to listen to the scientists and physicians here whose sole purpose is to ensure our children are safe for now and years to come. Furthermore, I ask you to amend the order at hand to include pre-K through 12 for Johnson County schools. Our children's physical and mental well-being are at stake. Please keep them safely masked and in school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have Edwin Jenner. Edwin Jenner.
Hello, Chairman and Commissioners. Thank you for giving me this time to address you and the audience today. My name is Edwin Jenner, and I live in Overland Park, and I'm the father of 3 school-aged children and a teacher in Johnson County. And I hope that the Commission votes to order the universal masking of all students in our schools for, quite frankly, all the reasons that have already been stated. I don't need to waste any more of your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we have Joanna Finkel. Joanna Finkel.
Commissioners, thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Dr. Joanna Finkel, and I'm a board-certified OBGYN physician here in Johnson County. I'm also the mother of 3 young children, all under age 12, and all attend Blue Valley School District. None of my children have been vaccinated against COVID-19. I want my children in in-person learning, and as a doctor, I know masks will keep them there. As of now, with no mask requirement in place, mask wearing rates in schools will be low, and COVID-19, specifically the very contagious Delta variant, will tear through them, forcing school closures and ending in-person learning. Between my children's inevitable quarantines and illnesses, there are several weeks where I will not be able to provide OBGYN care for my patients. Likewise, my ER physician husband won't be available to treat your injuries, your heart attacks, your strokes, your COVID. Our family is just one example. Our local school districts have hundreds of parents who are healthcare workers, first responders, and other essential personnel. They will not be available to care for you if they are home taking care of their quarantined or sick children, and our already overburdened metro hospital system will reach a breaking point. Our community's health and our economy will be impacted, and speaking as a parent, so will my kids' academic progress and mental health. Please listen to our national and local experts who are recommending mask requirements for children, staff, teachers, and visitors in indoor settings, regardless of vaccination status, K through 12. Other municipalities in the metro have already issued mandates. We medical professionals desperately want to provide exemplary and timely care, but we need your help to do so. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you.
Now we have Rupal Gupta. Rupal Gupta.
Hi, Chairman Eilert and Commissioners. I want to thank you for considering indoor masking, which is a common sense practice that will save lives and allow our children to remain in school safely in the time of a global pandemic. I am a general pediatrician, and I have 2 children who attend the Blue Valley School District.
Access Vision, your voice, your community.